Amy. We should let Abigail do the safety share first off. Like,
Well, give her a week.
oh, she's not sworn in yet. You're right.
I think she should have this meeting until she gets sworn. There is one conference. What's the conference you went to last year?
I didn't end up going. I had to go to the soup.
Thunder Bay.
Well, Noma, but
Noma,
this year it's now gonna be coming up, it's in Fort Francis again.
Oh.
So that's a long haul, so I don't know if we'd be sending student counselors there. Thunder Bay's good? Hi, Gregory.
Fort Francis is.
Fort Francis is a long haul, 9 hour trip, so
That's a long trip.
it's a long trip.
I mean, it's doable, but it's a lot. It's a bigger ask than just saying go to.
Yeah. Cause it's a couple more days out of school. Not that that's a good or bad thing, I don't know.
See how the kids write. What's that? It's not helping.
No. Okay, Larry, about a minute or so?
So you don't get sworn in yet, do you?
No. I remember the cue.
Whenever you're ready, whenever the screen changes, I'll let you know.
Get a key to.
It's on blue right now, Marathon, so, good to go? Okay. Good evening and welcome to council Monday, Tuesday, October the 15th. Monday being a holiday yesterday. I hope everybody had a great long weekend. Called the meeting to order at 7 p.m. As always, I ask you to turn off your electronic devices, put them on vibrate or silence. And as always, we start off our municipal council meeting with a municipal safety share. Councillor Hatton.
So this safety share is about hunting safety rules. All hunters must wear solid orange clothing, which is a minimum of 400 square inches or 2,580 square centimeters above the waist, and a hunter orange head cover during gun seasons for deer, moose, and elk. Outside the gun seasons for deer, moose, and elk, these requirements also apply to bear hunters who are not hunting from a tree stand. Please handle your firearms with care and attention at all times. Hunters must never shoot unless they are absolutely sure of their target and what lies beyond it. It is illegal to shoot from a vehicle or carry a loaded firearm in or on a vehicle. It is illegal to discharge a firearm from or across the traveled portion of a right-of-way or public vehicular traffic. In many parts of Ontario, it is also illegal to have a loaded firearm or discharge a firearm in any part of the right-of-way. Also, never drink alcohol and hunt.
Great, thank you for that. And moving into the agenda, I have council hereby accepts the agenda for Tuesday. First off, is there any additions or deletions to the agenda?
Your worship, we have a deferral.
Okay,
The administration report 9A on the Marathon Theater lease.
Okay.
And the bylaw.
so bylaw A and item A under administration reports next meeting.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? No other reports, verbal or anything? Okay, good. So I do have a motion here that council hereby accepts the agenda as amended for Tuesday, October 15th, 2019, regular meeting of council, circulated amended. Moved by Councillor Fallon, second by Councillor Ingram. All in favor? Carried, thank you. So any disclosure of interest? With that being said, hearing none, I do have a motion here that council hereby adopts the minutes of the regular meeting of council held on Monday, September 23rd, 2019, and the closed meeting of council held on Monday, September 23rd, 2019, as circular amended. Moved by Councillor Lake, seconded by Councillor Shingra. Any questions, errors, or omissions on those minutes? Hearing none, I'll call a question. All in favor? Carried, thank you. So this evening we have our annual swearing-in ceremonies of our student councillors. This evening we're going to be swearing in student councillor Abigail Blanchette. And Abigail, we're going to ask you to come to the front and you're going to read off your swearing-in ceremony with our Deputy Clerk Louise Lees. And if anybody would like to come down and take pictures, come to the front by all means. And then we'll get down and we'll do a group picture with council once you're all sworn in. And go right up to the microphone so people can hear you. Do you want to use this microphone? Okay.
I, Abigail Abigail Blanchette, have been appointed to the office of student counselor in the municipality of Marathon. I do solemnly promise and declare that I will truly, faithfully, and impartially exercise this office to the best of my knowledge and ability. I have not received and will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for the exercise of this office on a biased, corrupt, or in any other improper manner. I will disclose any pecuniary interest, direct or indirect, in accordance with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, or the reigning sovereign of the time being. And I make this solemn promise and declaration consensual, believing it to be true and knowing that it is of the same force and effect as if made under oath.
One more.
Great, thank you. Somebody ask council to come down and do a quick picture, and I think Mr. Cresswell was gonna take a picture for us.
Congratulations, Abigail.
And Mitchell.
Old hat for you. Congratulations. Welcome back.
Congratulations, Abigail.
You've been on
Nice to
council
have
long.
another girl
You've been on
on
council
this
longer
side
than
of the
Greg.
table.
You really
Yeah,
have.
where's the cider? Mitchell, get ready.
Yeah, we should
There we
get
go.
some. Rows between.
There we go. Good, thank you.
Thank you.
Mitchell, why don't you sit down?
Okay, very good. So you got through that very well. Thank you for that, and welcome aboard, Abigail. Look at our Councillor Blanchette now, thank you. So, right back into the regular business of our council. And as I stated earlier before the meeting started, we would put her right on the spot and ask her for a report, but we're just joking tonight. We'll let you get off with that. If you have a report lined up, that's great, but we'll go to Councillor Hatton first and give us his update on the student councillor's report.
All right, so the school year is about a month in. So today we had our first home games for our senior girls basketball and our junior and senior boys volleyball. And I believe we won all of our games against Manitowoc High School.
Good for that?
The Travel Club will be hosting their annual Haunted Hallway this year on October 25th and 26th. There are posters up around town, and you can come to the high school in the main office to sign up for your slot. Our student council is hosting our Halloween dance on November 1st. And today, our 11-12 leadership class hosted a bake sale to raise proceeds for the Marjorie House.
Great, thank you for that. And we didn't want to put you on the spot, but did you have anything to comment on? No? Okay, so in the future council meetings, we were looking for a good report from you, Councillor Blanchette. Thanks. Okay. Up next, we have a report on Nextbridge Land Lease Agreement. Good evening, Mr. Verbal.
Evening, Mayor and Council. On January 30th of this year, the Government of Ontario issued an order in Council and directive designating Nextbridge as a transmitter with exclusive right to proceed to construct the east-west tie transmission line project. Over the past 7 months, administration has been working with both Nextbridge and Vallard Construction to develop a plan to establish a construction work camp in Marathon. Vallard is Nextbridge subcontractor hired to construct the actual transmission line. Administration and Nextbridge have negotiated and agreed upon the necessary lease and options agreement to allow Nextbridge and Ballard to utilize 54 Stevens Avenue, which is the old school at the south end of Stevens, to construct the work camp for the project. Key elements of the agreements include a 2-year lease with an option to extend 1 year, leases to commence upon council's approval, and the municipality is named as an additional insured under Nextbridge Insurance. Town's legal counsel has reviewed and vetted the agreements. Signing of the NextBridge lease agreements will result in a one-time lump sum revenue of $68,341. This value is derived based on an independent third-party fair market valuation multiplied by the site acreages. As an aside, this is what NextBridge is doing with all properties all the way from Nipigon to Wawa. So the options are to approve the agreements as presented and the supporting bylaw, or do not approve the agreements and bylaw. Administration recommends that option A be approved and that bylaw 1959 be approved, authorizing the corporation of the Town of Marathon to enter into a land lease agreement with NextBridge Infrastructure LP, and that the mayor and clerk be authorized to sign the agreement on behalf of the municipality.
Good. Thank you for the report. I do have a motion here that council hereby accept the attached report and recommendation on NextBridge land lease agreement, and that the appropriate bylaw be adopted, enter into a land lease agreement with NextBridge Infrastructure LP, and further that the mayor and clerk be authorized to sign the agreement on behalf of the municipality. Moved by Council Lake, second by Councilor Valence. Any questions? Council Lake.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. I was wondering, two kind of part question. One is, do we maintain some sort of site control in terms of what is acceptable in terms of something that's going to look nice and not kind of be an eyesore? And two, my concern is always at the end of the day, has Ballard agreed to leave the site kind of the way they found it? Is there any way to ensure that? Like, what I would hate to have is an abandoned ATCO trailer field in the middle of town. So I just want to clarify those two things.
The first point, we will have control over it because it will be having to take out a building permit, and so our building officials will be reviewing it. And on the second part, in part of the lease agreement, there is a stipulation they have to return it to the condition they found it.
Yeah, Councilor Boucher.
Yeah, the term says a lump sum of 68,000, whatever, the 341. Is that included the third year option, or is the third year option
That's just,
priced above?
that's just for the 2 years. If they want to have a third year, it's, I don't know where they get this number from, it's 20% of the amount of rent. So I think it's $20,000 if they want to go into the third year.
Okay.
And, oh, sorry,
Go
a
ahead.
follow-up to that, who has the right to extend it? Is it solely theirs, or is it by mutual agreement?
If they ask for it, they will get it. But it's just a 1-year extension.
Councilor Lake.
So I think the other kind of issue that obviously plays into this is we've just applied for the money for the new arena, or the Active Living Center. We clearly want, or have identified that space as our prioritized space. If those two, I mean, right now, 2 years is probably a really nice timeline. That would be about when we wanted to start to build. What's the administration's take on having kind of that site be potentially for both? Is there anything in the plans to accommodate that?
I wouldn't know at this time.
So just, I'll give you an update. So in the discussion we had as council, we discussed that as opportunity for the site plan control. So I think that's part of the next step, is when we look at the site plan control, location of camp compared to location potential of future build of the Active Living Center. So I think that's key. But I'll ask administration to make note of that. Discussion does take place at the actual site plan control as part of the lease agreement, and also in regards to location of that. And we did have that discussion, so.
We didn't. That's just why I wanted to, I think it's so important to know that we have control over the site in terms of it looking appropriate, but also maybe
Yes.
where it goes in terms of
Right.
looking at that plan. So as long as that's not lost in the rolling out of this.
Right.
Councilor Valence?
So, just for clarification then, the lease would be done October 16th, I'm guessing, 2021?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
With the option.
Yeah.
Good. Anything else? Good. With that being said, I'll call a question. All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Okay, up next we have report on electric vehicle fast charging installation, Town Hall. Good evening, Mr. Martel.
Good evening, Your Worship, members of council.
Your microphone on?
I believe so.
Good, thank you. I know you guys don't have little stickies down there, do you?
Sorry?
Little stickies? You got a
The
little
gr-
reminder?
The light's green, yeah.
I know we got nice little reminders at all our.
Oh. So, Petro-Canada has approached the town to partner and have electric vehicle chargers located in the town of Marathon. The chargers would be part of Petro-Canada's plan to have an electric highway from coast to coast by the end of 2019. Currently, there is a gap between Wawa and Nipigon. In the spring of this year, Petro-Canada started construction on their coast-to-coast network of 50 sites along the Trans-Canada Highway. Although they have installed the majority of electric vehicle chargers at many of their stations, Petro-Canada has had to approach businesses and communities where they have no operations. Petro-Canada would like to install 2 chargers at the town hall. Administration indicated the best placement of these chargers and had Petro-Canada supply the drawings. The installation of these chargers and any works associated with them would be at the cost of Petro-Canada. Petro-Canada would pay the municipality $5,000 annually for snow and ice removal. Costs exceeding $5,000 can be invoiced to Petro-Canada. The town would enter into a 10-year agreement with Petro-Canada. At the end of the agreement, the chargers would be removed by Petro-Canada and the property returned to its original state. The installation would potentially benefit the town with an increase of visitors and economic growth. The town would also benefit from the media standpoint, as we would be mentioned on Petro-Canada's promotional campaign. The agreement would be with Petro-Canada's parent company, Suncor Energy. There will be no cost to the town of Marathon. Petro-Canada would pay $1,000 a year for the license and $5,000 a year for snow removal, and any cost incurred beyond that. The installation, landscaping, signs, and any other beautification would be paid for by Petro-Canada. Options are option A, approve the installation of EV chargers at Town Hall for 2019. Option B, approve the installation of the EV chargers at Town Hall with changes to the agreement. C, do not approve the installation of EV chargers at Town Hall. Administration recommends option A be selected and that the town enter into a 10-year agreement with Suncor Energy for the installation and upkeep of electric chargers at Town Hall.
Good, thank you for that report. I do have a motion that council hereby accepts the attached report and recommendation on electric vehicle fast charger installation at Town Hall. Further, that the appropriate bylaw be adopted, entering into a lease agreement with Suncor Energy Petro-Canada for the installation and upkeep of electric chargers in the town of Marathon. Moved by Council Lake, second by Council DeBoucher. Questions? Council Lake.
That's a fantastic deal, especially the money for snow removal, but also that kind of optics, thank you. Optics of kind of being a green leader. I wonder if it would be possible, as when we get into budget deliberations, to look at if we had 2 chargers here, an electric car as a town vehicle, especially for an in-town vehicle, makes a lot of sense. Again, it shows that leadership on the green energy front. And with the chargers at Town Hall, it makes it really easy to go ahead and have those always ready to go.
Good. Anything else? Council DeBoucher.
Yeah, through discussion, most of the locations that I've situated that hasn't been in a Petro-Can station itself has been at hotels and what, because of the length of stay. Through discussion, what is the length of charging for a typical vehicle nowadays?
So generally, with the fast chargers, there's gonna be 2 different types of chargers, the level 2 and level 3. Level 3 being the fast charger. Generally, in speaking with Suncor, it takes about 45 minutes to 2 hours. 45 minutes on the low end, because generally EV users or electric vehicle users don't like their charge to go beyond a certain point. So they're looking at an average of about 45 minutes.
Okay. So it's no longer necessary to charge it overnight or anything like that, even
No.
at the long charge?
No.
Okay. Because I was just wondering if this would be better situated, not that I don't like the money and the revenue, do we know if Petro-Can or Suncor has approached local businesses about an installation beforehand, or?
I believe there has, but there's been some conflict, and that didn't pan out.
Okay, that's all.
Good. Anything else? So just for the consumer and the EV users, I mean, obviously, when the consumer plugs in, they have to put a credit card in as well into the charging system of some sort to pay for the charge.
Correct. At first, there isn't gonna be any fee
Okay.
for the first little while, according to Suncor.
Okay.
Their level 2 charger there won't be any fee at all.
but it would be through credit card or payment.
Okay, so with that being said, they're gonna be metered through the municipality's town hall. So there'll be a separate meter, I'm assuming, on those chargers, so that bill will be then sent off to Suncor Petro-Canada.
Correct, there would be
Okay.
nothing coming
Just
through
for the
town.
clarity for the consumer out there
Yeah.
and the public. Council Lake. Microphone?
Great, thank you. It's usually on this side of me, I don't know. The one thing I could see happening that would be annoying would be somebody who kind of drives in their electric, plugs it in, and then goes away for the day. What's the, in terms of policing kind of people who just leave their vehicle plugged in and aren't sort of being diligent about making sure that it's available to others, is that do we have bylaws around policing that, or?
There isn't any current bylaws with concerns to that, but I did question Suncor with regards to that. And EV users, according to Suncor, police themselves. If they found somebody who was overstaying
Gang
or
will get them.
there's an app they use called PlugShare, where they
Okay.
find out all their information on what electric vehicle chargers are available,
Okay,
that sort of thing. So they sort of police each other.
okay,
Okay,
yeah, that's great.
so we're going in the right direction. We're looking at all our opportunities. We've gotten rid of the plastic bottles at the town hall. We're getting electric vehicle plug-ins. We're going to the right direction. We're looking at a report coming forward through the chamber for elimination maybe of plastic bags in our community, so going all in some good directions for the environmental. So thanks. Oh, Councillor Valance, yes, sir.
Were any of the other communities on the North Shore approached by Suncor and Petro-Canada? Like, why Marathon versus?
We were approached specifically because of our location between Wawa and Nipigon. It works out perfect for them. But they are approaching other municipalities. I believe another municipality in Ontario is Nebing. And there's a municipality in BC called Revelstoke
Right.
that they're looking at.
Okay,
Thank you.
good. Anything else? Good stuff. Okay, with that being said, I call a question. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Up next, we have a report on Main Street Revitalization Initiative. Mr. Verbo.
In the spring of 2018, the provincial government announced a $26 million fund initiative to assist municipalities with community improvement plans and physical infrastructure. The town of Marathon entered into an agreement with the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, which are the fund administrators, through bylaw 1929 dated June 11, 2018. The amount of the grant allocated to the town of Marathon was $40,541. Funds have to be spent by March 31st, 2020. It was decided to keep the funds in reserves for 2018 and develop a plan to use the funds in 2019. Eligible activities are as follows: improve commercial building facades, preserve heritage buildings, provide affordable housing, convert space for residential or commercial uses, building code updates, improvement of community energy efficiency, accessibility enhancement, signage, landscape improvements, marketing plan implementation. During the 2019 budget deliberations, several small projects were identified where Main Street funding could be applied and thereby reduce the amount of property tax needed to be levied. The projects were the 75th anniversary celebration, providing lighting to the Welcome to Marathon sign at the intersection of Peninsula Road and the Trans-Canada Highway, and the installation of benches and tables throughout the municipality. The funds were included in the 2019 budget. It was also budgeted that the costs would be 100% funded with the provincial grant. This report is presented for council's information only.
Good. Any questions? Comments? Councillor Valance.
Mr. Verbo, has all of the money that we were given been spent through the 75th celebration, the lighting, the benches and stuff, or is there still?
We still have $7,000 to go.
Okay, are there any plans?
We're looking at purchasing additional benches. We originally thought the benches would be a multi-year, but since we didn't spend as much as we originally anticipated in 2019, we're going to fully utilize the funding and spend it before the end of March next year.
Yeah.
Awesome, thanks.
Yeah, there's a few other benches that could be replaced around town, so that'd be great. With that being said, the 75th anniversary sign has I think it's bolted to the concrete pad at Penn Lake. Is that gonna be moved for the winter or taken out of there?
Yes.
Do we know? It is, because it's starting to fade from all the signatures. It'd be nice if we put it somewhere inside the arena or something for the winter months, or for wherever, a home somewhere, because the names are fading off of there, so it's kind of losing its glimmer of the activities that took place. Okay, so we have just some reports from boards and committees that council sits on. Myself, I just attended the Zone 1 Fall Conference in Thunder Bay for the police services. This zone comes from Manitouwadge to the Kenora, Fort Francis, Rainy River, Manitoba border area, Red Lake. It encompasses a big part of the province. We're associated with Zone 1 and 1A, but the reality was this is a Zone 1, and it was a big geographic size, but not so much in membership. We had opportunities to discuss current guns and gangs update in regards to the Northwest region. We have some problems coming from Southern Ontario that's infiltrating into Northwestern Ontario. Lots to do with organized, but really not like the old gangs of the old days where you can really pinpoint somebody as a gang member. These are people that we see every day. They just look like everyday people with no identifying marks or colors. So it's getting tougher for police to break those gangs down. We did talk about the Ontario Police Services Act, which is really a dry process, but we had 2 hours of that because the Police Servicing Act has all changed. There's a lot of things that are coming into place, and municipalities are expected to do a lot of things. We're working on some of our community safety plans and stuff as we speak, but there's a lot of stuff they're expecting the municipalities to do in regards to policing going forward. We then talked about the community safety and well-being plans that the communities are working on, coordinating. This is through the ministry, and there's a lot of stuff going there. That was another 2-hour process. We then had the Municipal Safety Sheriff Correctional Services individual, Graham Wright, a Zone 1 advisor, give us an update on his role from the ministry's point of view. And then, of course, we also had the Ontario Association of Chiefs of Police update from Mr. Jeff McGuire in regards to what the Chiefs of Police are doing in Ontario. Not only OPP, but there's a lot of municipal forces still in Ontario that operate. Next morning, right off the bat, we got into the body-worn cameras and policing. This is a really neat initiative. I did speak to Commissioner Fantino 2009 about OPP having them on our cars as well as on their bodies. It would solve a lot of issues with police interaction with people and he said, she said type scenarios, and a lot less time in court. They're starting to realize that now. America has been on board with the cameras for a long time, but Ontario and Alberta, Calgary, Saskatchewan, there's a lot of provinces that are going with them full time through their police forces and communities, as well as the provinces. Thunder Bay had a pilot program. They're going to go full body worn cameras starting. They're going out for tender, probably starting January of this year, coming in 2020. They did an overview of the pilot program, and the reality is it solved a lot of problems. Simple little things like running stop signs, interactions, cell phone usage. Nobody's going to court because they just show them the video of here you are running the stop sign, here you are on your cell phone. The charge is a charge, and so it's freeing up court time already. And the interaction with people, it makes a big difference in regards to how the individual speaks to the police officer as well as how the police officer acts with the individual. So that's coming in Thunder Bay. We're going to continue pushing through Section 10, which is the OPP under contract for municipalities like us, under Section 10, for the OPP to have these put on all officers as well. I think it's a great tool for both the officer and the citizen, both from the car point of view as the interactions with them. Then we did have a update on the UAV, which is the small little camera device that goes up in the air, like the drones. That's a great tool for police, as well as understanding as we all know, anybody who has a drone that they bought at Canadian Tire or elsewhere, you can't operate those things in a lot of places because there's restrictions. And believe it or not, in the city of Thunder Bay, the whole city is under restriction because of the zones that people come in flying from the air from all the airport, as well as the water and helicopters through the helipad at the hospital. So they have to, every time they use their drone, they have to contact NavCan to identify that they're going to go fly over a house or over an area that they have to have a certain height or they can't use it. So pretty interesting stuff. And then just a couple of closing remarks from the chief and the zone president, as well as or the representing the zone president. Then we followed up with our zone meeting after that, and just talked about the next steps, and of course, the next coming AGM in Toronto in spring of 2020. Any questions? All good? Thank you. Councillor Zingra has an update on the library board.
Okay, so the library board always wants me to bring in a few points from our meetings each month. The family reading bingo was held from July to August 15th. Lots of businesses in the community contributed prizes for individuals who entered, so it was a great show of community partnerships and support for the library. Summer programming was successful again this year. The pop-up library that was very successful last year did not go over as well this year. And July was much busier than August this year. Victoria Dye from Scriber came to the library on September 3rd to promote her children's book, The Night the Tooth Fairy Didn't Show Up. Victoria's daughter, Vicky, did the illustrations for the book, and both of Victoria's children, Vicky and Bellin, are featured in it. Victoria lived in Marathon for a short time, and her son, Bellin, worked at the library. So copies of the book are available at the library. The library is starting a new fundraiser called Flip Give. So what it is you do, when you're doing your online shopping, you'll go to the Flip Give site, you put in a group code, and then your regular shopping that you do day to day, a percentage, depending on what you're buying, it changes what percentage, but a percentage of that will go to the library at no extra cost to the consumer. So a nice, easy way for the library to get some extra fundraising. So I have the code here I can share with anybody, or you can get that code from the library as well.
Comments? Councillor Lake?
So it's Flip Give,
Flip Give.
and
yeah.
you have to download the app, obviously, onto your phone.
So the way I've been explaining it, and I have not tried it myself, but you go to a website, so you go to the website, you put the code in, and then you'll have the list of all the stores that are part of that. So I know a couple of the stores that were mentioned were like Canadian Tire, so you could do your Canadian Tire order, then still pick up in your local store. So the same regular shopping you'd normally do, you just have to go to the Flip Give site first, put in your code, and do your same regular shopping, and
No additional fee.
no additional fee for the consumer.
Okay, that's great.
Anything else? So I know we ask you as a member to go look, and I'd like to know if the library is looking at opportunities of changing up some of their hours. We had this discussion in the past, and having programs run on Saturdays, Saturday mornings, maybe Wednesday or Tuesday evenings with specific programs, geared to youth, or, children's corner on Saturday morning type thing, children's reading corner, something like that being looked at?
I know the library has looked at putting submissions in for different grants to different organizations and different government grants that they're looking into right now. As far as hours, that hasn't been brought up in the last couple of meetings. The CEO is off right now as well, so it kind of makes some of those decisions a little bit harder to make without her being there. And on that front, the staff so far has been doing a very good job keeping up with that, even without the CEO being around. So.
Okay, I know the chairs usually attends our meetings, but I'd like to maybe request you as our member to ask if there's opportunities to look at changing up hours, reducing hours on some days, and maybe adding hours on different days for more. I've had feedback from the community asking about Saturday morning specific programming for youth, because there is no, youth are not in school, and their parents and tots and that type of thing. I know there's programs maybe during the week with parents and preschool individuals, 3 and under, but the ones that are 3 and over or 4, there's no opportunity. So just a suggestion, because we're coming into budget time and deliberations around that, so that discussion can take place and see if there's opportunities from the municipality's point of view.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll
Great.
bring that up at
Great.
our next meeting.
Thank you very much. Any other questions? Councilor Gingrell in the library? Good, thank you. Okay, with that being said, we have a couple bylaws this evening to get through. Bylaw number 1959 being a bylaw to authorize the Corporation of Town of Marathon to enter into a land lease agreement with NextBridge Infrastructure LP for the construction of the worker camp in regard to the east-west tie transmission construction project, to be read a first and second time the 15th day of October 2019. Moved by Councillor Vallon, second by Councillor Lake. Any questions on that bylaw? Hearing none, I'll call a question. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Up next, we have bylaw number 1960, being a bylaw to authorize the Corporation of Town of Marathon to enter into a 10-year agreement with Suncor Petro-Canada for the installation and the upkeep of electric chargers at Town Hall to be read a first, second time this 15th day of October 2019. Any questions? Move or second first? Moved by Councillor Gingras, second by Councillor Tabushi. Any questions of that bylaw? One thing, if I don't mind, just a comment, we didn't talk about that during the actual presentation, but the location, just so the public knows, the identified location is looking at right at the front of the building is the most appropriate spot, correct? Okay, thank you. That wasn't, it's in the pictures we have, the presentation, but it wasn't identified through our discussion. So it'll be right in front of the building facing the center mall. Okay, with that being said, I'll call a question. All in favor? Carried, thank you. And of course, we have bylaws number 1959. I'm going to amend this this here, third reading, because it identifies bylaw number 1944 in there. So I'll just remove that, and with mover and seconder's permission, I'll amend that. So once we get there, that bylaw number 1959, 1960 be read a third time. It passes 15th day of October 2019. Moved by Councillor Valens, second by Councillor Lake. So with your permission, I'll just remove the 1944 out of there. All in favor? Carried, thank you very much. And with that being said, we are now at the hour of Councillor Dewey.
Remind people about October 21st and going to do the
Oh, the election, yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Well, with that being said, we do have an election coming up on Monday, October 21st, 2019. And go out and get your civic duty done and, you know, strike your vote for the party or person you think that's going to best appropriately represent you in Ottawa. And we hope that the numbers increase in regards to the amount of people that actually go and participate and vote. We haven't had much a lot of voter empathy over the years, but we want to see people get out and vote in our community as well as in the riding. So, thank you for that reminder, Councillor Bushi. With that being said, do now adjourn at the hour of 7:35 p.m. Thank you and have a good night. Moved by Councillor Valens, second by Councillor Gingras.